Okay, hi everyone. I'm Javier Reina. I'm going to present this presentation. Sorry for my English; it's not very well, but I'm going to try to. I have a script. I'm going to try to speak the better I know. So I'm going to explain the origin of the presentation of mountain on coins until 19th century in Europe. So first, I would like to start with a brief explanation of what a mountain, its significances as a symbol on a coin. Okay. So the first thing is a mountain is a physical geography, a positive landform, a natural eminence characterized by its altitude. But speaking in social terms, the mountain can also seen as a hard, fragile, and unstable system due to its difficulties and limitation associated with its relief, topography, and rigor of climatic condition, isolate from other regions with a scattered population. So depending of the philosophical current on the time, it can be seen as sacred, terrific, demonic, sublime, or strategic place for the center of power located in the valleys. So in the slide 3 is a brief currency concept, and originally the coin was a powerful means of political and religious propaganda in area where the currency was the object that traveled the most, both in speed and in distance. To have it in your hand, you have to identify it to know its true economic value, and therefore you were also obligated to understand the meaning of its types and legends. So the first example of the mountain on coins, well, given these premises, it's normal to see the political power on each civilization is city on coins or dedicated to their gods. However, the city of Caesarea in Cappadocia opted for a different design for much of its currency, a mountain. It isn't known exactly why the inhabitants of Caesarea choose the mountain for the minting. It's the first appearances began during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius. It is possible that the local power simply chose the mountain as a symbol of their city to stand out for the plethora of other coin-issuing cities. In the first representation, the mountain is crowded by a standing figure, possibly the sun god Helios. You have here the first one. And another example, over the next 200 years, the mountain appears in various styles. During the reign of Trajan, harps appear of it. It has been suggested that this instrument was used as a means of depicting the volcano's creator. Later, used depict the mountain top as an altar, as well as being surrounded by gods and goddesses, stars and crescents, and even reference to the cult of Mithra. The variety of design Sorry, I can hear a lot of sound. Well, the variety of the design combined with the distinct use of the mountain on so many coins has also led a scholar to believe the mountain may have been the center of the religious cult. We have a location for this mountain. Is the Mount Ercilles or Mount Argaius, that has rich and fertile volcanic soil resulting from the past eruption will have given the local inhabitants something that be grateful for. Then we have a Adrian Emperor coin. The Emperor Adrian issued coin types that commemorate his journeys to Hispania. This coin, silver denarius, golden aurus, or bronze sestertius, depicts on the reserve of the recycling form of the goddess Hispania. Is lying in the Pyrenees. You can see here like a rock, but can be the Pyrenees, and holding a laurel branch, and sometimes could be appear a rabbit as a symbol, the province of Hispania. Here we have a rabbit here as well. Then in another coin from Armenian is another example, is the appearance of the huge Mount Ararat on rare coin from the Armenian king Tigranes IV. And its distinctive double top makes it an impressive type of coin. The first one is from Armenian kingdom of Sophone, 230 BC, and we can see the peaks of Ararat with a star shining above. That one. The second one was issued in 2 BC or 1 AD, and there we can see two peaks of Ararat as viewed from the ancient capital of Armenia, Artashat. Okay, in the Middle Age, the political and religious message reached its peak in the medieval times. In the three great Mediterranean areas, Western Europe, the Byzantine Empire, and the Islam. Each area had its peculiarity, but coin-wise, these three areas were characterized by the representation of the royal symbol and the worship of a single god. The ruler used coin to show the legitimacy of their power. Commonly, rulers used the religion as legitimation to their access to the throne and the government. But other examples were found. German king that used coin to show their power, but as a delegate of the emperor, or the Italian Republic like this coin, representing their patron. In the medieval coin, only some heraldic animal were represented, but pagan symbols were excluded. This happened with mountains that were usually associated with the place far from God's hand was excluded. This makes sense considering mountains were not very accessible, inhospitable, not very productive, a place where your life was at risk if you needed to go through. But we have some sample exception, like the next coin, that is Cinquine, in the Kingdom of Naples. In the last third of the 15th century, the cinquin was used as a quarter of Carlino, was minted by Ferdinand I and Ferdinand II of Aragon, King of Naples. And the head of the coin, we can appreciate a mountain of diamond. Okay, this would be the mountain. The symbol was used in another works of arts, like here in a painting, or in another work of art, like statues or draw, with the legend "Nature nor artis opus," and that means it's a nature work, no art. This legend means that the king virtues are inherent, not acquired, like a diamond. That emblem is a typical example of the peculiarity of the symbol from Italian kingdom in the 15th century. Later, almost 3 centuries later, the Kingdom of Naples used another coin with mountain. In this case, the mount is the Vesuvius and Mount Soma, one of the most emblematic symbols of Naples. Appear represented in the background and the reverse of the coin. During the kingdom of Carlos VII of Naples and his son Ferdinand I to Sicilies. Sorry, this one. In this case, the representation of the impressive volcano Vesuvius and Mount Soma can be due to a new stage of particularly intense activity in the 1631, after a millennium slept. Also, the new King Carlos VII was very interested in excavating the ruins of Pompeii and Herculaneum, buried by the Vesuvius in 1790 AD. Well, later the medieval time, we have a change of power from the ecclesial to constitutional. At the beginning of the French Revolution, at the end of the 18th century, on the coins in France, on the coin of Louis the 16th, appeared his name and a title in Latin, indicated that he was King of France and Navarra, and he had that right by the grace of God. But in October 1789, the Assembly approved its new title, now in French, Louis, by the grace of God and the law of the constitutional state, King of the French. And in the new coins, its title was Louis the 16th, King of the French, along with a new legend, Les Nations, les lois, and le roi, a whole declaration of intention. The new political power makes clear the order of priorities. The sovereignty of the power resides in the nation, with through its representative has been given a fundamental law in the state, the Constitution. And only by the law, the head of the state is the king, who only is the first of the citizen. He is equal and subject to the law. It is the beginning of the new era, and this monetary legend will spread throughout Europe with the advance of the liberal states. Oh, sorry. Why? Oh, God. Yeah. No, here. Okay. Okay, now, in this moment, when the states needed a new symbol, began to create them to unify the nation. Obviously, in the constitutional monarchies that lead to the new states, and the predominant symbol is the head of the king or queen. But in the republican states, the figure of the allegory stand out as a national personification. These were an instrument of the government for propaganda and time of war, or to increase the feeling of the belonging and national pride among the population. Here we have some example of the Republic of France, Greece, Italian states, and the United Kingdom. There is a special feature in the last one, in this one. We can see a landscape behind of the allegory of Britannia. This fact reflects the arrival of new art or philosophic movement, the Romanticism, which is essential for understanding the start of the importance of the landscape, and with it the beginning of the illustration of mountain on coins. The Romanticism was an artistic, literary, musical, and intellectual movement that originated in Europe towards the end of the 18th century, and its most area was at its peak in the approximate period from 1800 to 1850. Romanticism was characterized by its emphasis on emotion and individualism, as well as the glorification of all the past and nature, especially that experienced in confronting the new aesthetic category of the sublime and beauty of nature. In contrast with the Middle Age perception of mountain romanticism weights up the mountain as the upper expression of the natural order, the place in nature that shows clearly its trait and quality. In this way, romanticism passes from the negative assessment to a very positive assessment of the mountain. Some examples of this phenomenon are the following three coins. In the Piedmont Republic, the first one is the half scudo from Piedmont Republic, declared on the 10th of September, 1798. It was a puppet state of the new French Republic. It used the motto Liberté, Virtù, Equalitanza, a coin, the French motto Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, on its coin. It's a sample on allegory, which have a landscape in the background, and in this case, the Alps. The second one is from 19th century as well. In the coin is a 5 Swiss franc. The Napoleon fall and the Congress of Vienna in 1815 drew the new European political border. The bourgeoisie found themselves with a new society emerged from the French Revolution, which assaulted the freedom of the human being above of all things. The nationalist movement arose in the last period of the Romanticism, and with it the idea of individuality was reinforced. Romanticism took a turn toward nationalism. Each country was seeking its historical roots and extol its values. Is this going from Switzerland? We can see another allegory with the Alps in the background. Okay. And the last one, the blooming of the European contemporaneous. Sorry, I don't have the script. The blooming of the European contemporaneous nationalism after the military attack of Napoleon's army was no exception in Spain. So the Spanish government took to Hispania for this representation, which came from the Roman coin that we had mentioned before. On the coin, we can see Hispania lying in the Pyrenees here, and with her feet in the Strait of Gibraltar here. The rabbit, a symbol of Spain, the Roman coin, is exchanged for Gibraltar. And it's another detail, nationalism is a detail. So in addition to the silver coin in values of 20 and 50 cents, and 1, 2, and 5 pesetas, there were of 1, 2, 5, and 10 cents made in copper, that one, where Hispania appeared seated, 100 pesetas in gold, where Hispania appeared standing up. And the Pyrenees is in the background in the both case. Note that this coin, the 100 pesetas, is one of the most expensive coin in the history of Spain. So that's it. Everything for my part. Thank you. I'm going to stop the sharing the screen.
I would like to thank you,
Thank
actually.
you.
Yeah, I've done presentations in a language that was difficult for me, and I know how stressful it can be, and you did very well indeed. The point I just want to make is that languages are not, speaking a foreign language is not to be perfect, it is to communicate. And you did communicate your points very well, and that is what counts. Also, an important point is that you're a geologist, and so you actually know what you're talking about when you're talking about mountains, and that is another point that came through very well. So great show, very well done.
Thank you.
There is more, actually. Normally we look at coins as objects more or less by themselves, and we fit them into history, but the coin remains at the center. And what you do is actually the opposite. You take an element, a design element, out of the coin and use that to build a story. And the story is much more than history. It goes into art, it goes into symbolism, and that gives us a new angle to look at those coins. So and in that respect, I have a little question for you, which is on the earlier coins, you see, as you pointed out, that the mountain is a symbol of natural power and therefore unacceptable to the early Christians. But in the later coins, I get the feeling that the mountain is a sort of part of a scenery. It's part of a larger whole. It's not the mountain itself that counts, but the mountain is the major decoration of the mountain range. And this, I believe, is a major change between the way that the mountain was seen before those early Christians and afterwards. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, not very well. Okay. So for try to understand very well your question, my girlfriend is here with me. That is amazing with the with the English. So
well, not that good. Hi. Bueno, yes, I'm going to explain to him fast. Que lo que te estaba diciendo era que antes en los primeros cristianos no entendía, la moneda era algo que daba miedo y que luego de golpe le preguntas si estás de acuerdo en la montaña, si estás de acuerdo en que la montaña representa algo más aparte de la montaña en sí, que es un país, que es el país y tal, la representación de la moneda.
Of course, the mountain represented more than the piece of rock. At the end, for the civilization after the French Revolution, is something very dangerous to cross a mountain. So they have a lot of respect about the mountains, and it's nothing very nice because it's very, very dangerous. So, but at the end, at the end, sometimes, for example, in the case of Naples, they have a huge mountain, and because of that, they have a very good fertile soil. So they contemplate the mountain like something good, but in another areas is something very dangerous.
Pero se refiere, y al final, cuando cambia, en verdad cambia esa idea. Es lo que él ha dicho.
Yeah, of course. Later, with the Romanticism, they change the view of the mountain, and it's something less dangerous because the communication was better. Yeah, and they take the nature like a something positive.
Entonces estás de acuerdo con lo que ha dicho él.
I can hear you, Peter.
Sorry, one click away. We have a couple of questions in the chat. Would you like me to read them for you, or would you like to read them yourself?
I can read. Yeah. The first one.
A rabbit was.
No rabbit in the modern coin, not because they changed the rabbit and they put in the feet of Hispania, they put Gibraltar, because in this period the United Kingdom invadió.
I don't know. Invaded. I don't
invaded the Gibraltar, and the Kingdom of Spain lose the Gibraltar. So for try to recover the Gibraltar, they put like a whole, this is Hispania, from the Pyrenees to Gibraltar. So it's like a saying that Gibraltar is our.
Ours, the Spanish.
There was essentially a political statement that they were making. That's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And the rabbit, ¿y por qué el rabbit era el símbolo de?
The rabbit was the symbol of Hispania because there was a lot, and I think that Hispania means that there is a rabbit land. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I did not know that. That's exciting. And then
there is another.
There's a comment.
Yeah.
A comment with that one.
Sí, que dice, Indians have country also has mountains and coins. Yeah, claro, esto es solo de Europa.
Well, I tried to explain that this presentation is just from the coin on mountain in Europe from the beginning to the 19th century, because there is a lot mountain on coin in the 19th century or in the 20th century, of course. There is another, but I don't want it to explain a lot of things in 20 minutes. So I have some ideas for make another presentation for American mountains on coins from that period, because here there is a few examples from the nationalism, take the mountains as a symbol, but in America there was more, because the French ideas in the revolution, they scattered very quickly in America, in United States or in another part of Central America, in South America. And it was very interesting. That doesn't have a symbol like here or monarchies. So they try to make a country and take a symbol, and they have a lot of mountains. So they took as a good symbol like or volcanoes. And of course, there is a sample of mountains in India, but in this presentation, just I try to explain just the Europe coins.
Well, that's very good news. That means that we're going to have another presentation from you at some time. I'm looking forward to that.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. That was really great. And we enjoyed it all very much. But we're also trying